Now, I showed a voiceover artist a little trick, and now he's got a huge advantage over all of his competition. And all I did was use the L4 UltraMaximizer plugin by Waves.
It's the same audition. It's just one sound significantly better because of what you just did. That's genius.
In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Today, I am speaking with Jesse Carroll. He is one of my clients. I've created a custom processing setting to help Jesse win auditions, outshine his competition, and get more work. And if you don't know who Jesse is, I want to tell you a little bit about him. Really impressive. He's an award-winning voiceover artist. He's an actor. He has over 2,000 voiceover credits. He is the voice, the narrator of Backroad Truckers, and you could catch that on the History Channel, and it's also on Hulu. He's also a voiceover coach, and he runs Voiceover School. You could check out Jesse and all the things he does at jessecarrollvo.com. Jesse and I are going to talk about mastering and bringing your audio really to another level. And when we talk about winning competition, or outshining your competition or winning auditions, you want every advantage you can get, right? So he had some questions. Once I created a custom processing setting for him, his next question really was about mastering. And so I had some things that I wanted to show him. And I think, this information that I showed Jesse, you could take with you and use for yourself. Let me show you what I mean.
But the one thing was, when you did the process, you said that you wanted to take like the main chunk, if I'm remembering this correctly. I'm not like a post audio guy. So the main chunk of what the vocal range is, like the best part. And then it was topping off at just around -6 dB. So usually when you submit to clients, it's, -3 dB or -1 dB. And I wanted to make sure that I get from -6 to -3 or -1 without destroying your wonderful process. And if there's anything else I should do to make it even better and destroy my competition.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is all about. What I'm going to show you today, what we're going to learn in this is really, it's an advantage. It's just a huge, anyone that you're competing with, if you're doing voiceover auditions that is not doing this, you have a huge advantage over. So that's what I want to show you today. So I want to share these little nuggets of wisdom with you, and I'm calling them nuggets. So let me just kind of define that. A nugget is simply a little piece of wisdom to keep and use as you work toward your goal. So throughout this video and throughout my discussion, when I say nugget, I'm just talking about a little piece of audio engineering wisdom that I want you to remember and keep. So I think this might be the first nugget, all right? Nugget number 1. Getting a good voice recording level first is critical. And the level that I suggest is peaking at -6 decibels. If you want to get your file loud and still sound good, it's really important to get the right recording level first. If you've ever taken, digital photography, getting a really good exposure is important, because if you are overexposed or underexposed, no matter how much touch-up, plugins, editing we do afterward is going to help it. You've got to get a good exposure. And then once you capture all of the highest highs, plus a little bit of headroom, and the lowest lows, plus a little bit of headroom below that. If you've got an exposure where you're capturing the entire dynamic range of a photograph, you have the ability to manipulate it much better. And if you cut anything off, it's the same exact thing with audio. So this is the recording of your voice with the processing that I created for you. And I've got a bunch of other plugins here. We're not going to worry about those yet. This is a processed file, and it's peaking at -6. So the raw file that you made for me was peaking at -6, or we made it peak at -6. And then the processed file coming out is very, very close to peaking at -6. So my processing has retained that exposure level. So I think that's actually the second nugget here is,
okay,
before you've processed and after you've processed, we want to stay in that range. Yes, it seems low, but the biggest thing is loudness happens after processing. Getting it loud on whatever platform you're going to. Maybe if you're just sending it to a client who doesn't have they don't have a standard they're asking for, you don't want to get that until after we do the processing. So I'm going to play this real quick because nobody has heard this yet. This is just a piece of the fictitious copy that I sent you. It's a spot for like a restaurant, and then you read this. I'm just going to play a little excerpt so we can hear what your processed sound is like.
Hey, football fans. Just because you're going to the game doesn't mean you have to eat food you'll regret. So let Healthy Salad Kitchen fuel you before or after the game. Tasty, healthy salads, delicious rice bowls, flavorful soups, or snack packs. All made in-house so that you can get the best flavor in every bite.
I'll point this out real quick. You know, this is one of the peaks up here. One of the transients, and we're at like negative 7.5. So we're 1.5 dB off, peaking at negative 6. I think maybe this one at the end is what's triggering this negative 6. Let's look at it.
No regrets.
Yeah, that one is at 6. So our highest peak in this file is still at negative 6, which is exactly what I want.
Okay.
So, and yeah, obviously, probably what you're thinking is, well, Lenny, that's the issue. That's my concern. How do I get it louder the right way without screwing up the audio? And that's where mastering comes in. These, by the way, are my Ulean meters. Ulean offers these meters for free, but they show me really great stuff. A LUFS, which is an average reading, which is in the gray area, the integrated, and the true peak, which is on the bottom, which is the same thing that you're going to see on your meter in Adobe Audition. It's the same thing in my Logic over here. Most meters are peak meters when you're recording. And you'll recognize a peak meter because it moves very quickly. It's in and out. It shows you the instantaneous peaks. This is really important because these are the things we're going to be looking at. Integrated is an average. So it basically, if I play this whole clip that we put together here, which I think is just under 30 seconds or so, it will actually, it keeps on compounding the average loudness of that file. So the only way to get an integrated LUFS is an integrated reading of this entire file, is you have to play the whole file into the meter because it has to, it retains the whole, it averages the entire thing. So if I play this whole 30 seconds of audio, it's going to give me, hey, this is negative 27.5. That's the average. That's a good nugget, I think, right there. A LUFS meter is an average of your entire piece of audio.
Okay, cool.
It also factors in some human hearing, I guess, algorithm. So there's things with the human hearing range that at louder volumes, the ear perceives different frequencies a little bit louder or not, which makes our brain feel like it sounds better, that's actually a pretty important thing, because that's why I want you to send something loud to somebody. When we master audio and make it louder than your competition, if somebody hears it, and let's just say theoretically your audio is processed just as well, it sounds just as awesome as somebody else's, but your file is louder, it will be perceived as better by the recipient, by the person. It's science.
Cool.
Yeah, that's where the advantage comes in, right? So we want to get your file louder without screwing up any of the problems with distortion or making it go over, or the artifacts, right? The sound that happens when you peak and distorts with the digital audio.
How do you know when you've got it loud enough that it sounds better and not to the point where it's overbearing, where they're like, whoa, and they throw their headphones off?
Such a great question, because yes, I could make it very, very loud, much louder, but you start losing dynamic range, which is not a bad thing until you get really, I mean, you could push it so hard into a limiter, and I'll show you the range. I'll show you an example of going too far, and then I'll tell you what my target is. So yeah, loudness is such a huge range. You could send it really loud, and actually you could get it pretty loud before it starts degrading the quality of the audio. It's pretty amazing. It's almost magic. But I'll tell you, like, I just like getting just 1 to 2 dB of dynamic range reduction, and man, it's loud enough. I mean, it's going to be louder than anybody else's. And I'll show you exactly how to do that.
Okay.
I just want to be clear that this meter on the left side is before the processing. This meter on the right side is after the processing, because I want you to see the difference. And we're going to look at the integrated, which is this gray area here, integrated before and after. And we'll look at the peak before and after, because that's going to give us those two things, really. And you know, you tell me, right? You've delivered your audio to a bunch of different platforms before, and you know you're going to get. What are some of the common loudness requirements you've seen?
As far as like voices.com and Voice 123, it's rare that people actually ask. However, the platform itself tells you that you should be submitting audio that's normalized to -3 dB on both voices.com and Voice 123. However, I tend to lean towards normalizing to -1, depending on what kind of a processing chain I use. If it's a big fat one that's like really girthy, I might go to -3 so it's not overbearing. And if it's something that's largely unprocessed for more of an authentic read, I'd probably go to like -1 just so I can compete with people that know more about processing than I do, which is what brought me to you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, normalizing is kind of it's kind of the fast track, easy way to get volume without getting into trouble. That's basically what it is. But, you know, having a little bit of knowledge and understanding a little bit about EQ and compression, which I'm showing you and want everybody watching this to learn today, it actually gives you that advantage because you could still reach those with getting it much louder. So let's start doing it. I'm gonna use a brand new plugin. It's the which is really cool. They just released this actually yesterday at the time of making this video. It's the L4 by Waves, and
hot off the press.
They just came out with it. It's really cool because it also, if you see right here, it gives you a LUFS, which is going to be the same as this. So these controls are common among all limiters, and a limiter basically is a compressor on stun. It's a compressor that it just puts a ceiling at the top of all of the audio. So in a limiter, and this is also, you've got it's called the hard limiter in Adobe Audition, and it has the exact same knobs. It sounds just as good. You could absolutely use it. I'm using this as an excuse to kind of call it out because it's brand new, but it's no different here. This is the Waves L4. It has a threshold. It has a ceiling. And this has a couple extra things, but it's just really how loud. This is how loud you're going to push things up into the ceiling, and this is where it's going to this is where it's going to stop. It's like, hey, I don't want anything to go over -1.4 decibels. So, in other words, what we're going to basically do is, you know, we've gotten a good exposure, right? We're peaking at -6 for our raw audio. We've recorded that. You do all the processing. And I make custom processing settings specifically to output very, very similar settings. I want it to be just as loud. So we go into the processing at peaking at -6. We come out very, very as close as possible. You know, it's different. The audio is actually shaped a little bit, so it can't be exactly the same, but I try to get it as close. Then we move to the mastering phase. And, you know, Jesse, this is really common. You've heard like, oh, the band went into the studio, they tracked. The guys, they worked with this producer, they mixed it, and then we mastered it. They actually literally go to a different studio. There's a reason for that because you want to keep them separate. Have you heard that before? Then we got the mastered, or you've seen, you go into Spotify or Apple Music and you see remastered. You see that in parentheses sometimes.
Yeah. And on movies too.
Yeah, absolutely, right.
Star Wars was remastered.
That's right. So, the Star Wars originally wasn't in 7.1 or surround sound 9.1 or whatever those things are. They're remastering. They're separating the tracks and then making them loud or not and redistributing them. That's really what that means. Yes, they do some other things in the EQ and stuff, but generally we're trying to meet new loudness standards. That's exactly what that means. Right. But on purpose, they usually will go to a different studio. One, because the studios, the physics of the rooms that they're listening and monitoring is different. So we want to make sure that the sound treatment in those rooms is designed for mastering and loudness and listening to full mixes. But also, it's to prevent you from going back to the processing and screwing with it. And I know that maybe kind of sounds weird. It's like, because you want to like do the processing, make sure it sounds good at this initial exposure level. Peaking at -6 is what I like to do. That's my opinion. I'm not saying it's the best one. It's just the one that I use. Other producers may do something else, but for voiceover, that's what I like. Then you go to the mastering stage, and that's, you want to lock. You don't want to mess with the processing anymore. It's like, we've got it to sound good at this level. This is the way I want it to sound. Now we're just going to raise the volume and not screw with the sound. I don't want to change it. And that happens because sometimes the perceived quality is better when it's louder, and it may drive you to make some other changes. So that's why they separate it. So here's what we're going to do. For this particular audio, I'm going to tell the ceiling, I'm going to go, all right, look, no matter what we do, I don't want anything to go over 1.5. Let's just make it really safe. And I'm going to go -1.5. That is a peak. So that means any audio that we play, I don't want it to go over 1.5 dB in my meter, right? You could literally set that ceiling. Really what that means is if I turn up the volume going into the ceiling at 6 dB, we should be getting, at the loudest peak, we should be getting negative 1.5 dB of reduction.
Now, is it pulling it back down or is it hitting a brick wall and slamming it against it? So like, let's say you have some pretty big peaks and you set it to negative 1.5. Will all those peaks be just slammed against it?
Yes, but the magic and the cool part of a limiter, and especially this is why the L4 is a new plugin. It does it differently. The plugins, when you're working in post production, right? You've already recorded this audio. When you push play on your space bar, it's so cool. This is so nerdy, but it's really cool. The plugin is actually looking ahead. It's looking at the audio before you hear it, and it's going, oh, this is going to go over. So let me do this recalculating and lower it. It slams, yes, you're right. It slams it into the ceiling, but how are we going to react to it? I'm going to make it to where you don't hear it distorting. You don't hear it cutting off. It could be a jagged cut. It could be a ramp cut to give you the sound of not unnatural. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It actually looks ahead. It's called look ahead. And actually, I think there's a control on the Adobe Audition hard limiter that says look ahead. How far do you want it to look ahead? So it actually is chomping this digital data, which is translated into analog audio that we hear through our speakers after the fact. It's doing this change so it doesn't sound unnatural. And that's really, and what's really cool about this, let's look back at this, the L4. It has a bunch of different smooth, modern, aggressive, safe, and L2 is the old style. And that's exactly what that is, Jesse. That is the look ahead, how it's going to be attacking, how it's going to be approaching the audio and giving that sound that it does cut off, the sound that it does cap. How is it going to sound? And you could actually cycle through these. You could hear them better if you're really slamming it, but you can hear the difference between these modes. And maybe the one that we want for voiceover in your, estimation might be like the one that's transparent, right? We don't want to hear it. We're just going to be able to push it up into this ceiling and it's going to sound loud, but exactly the same. There's going to be no difference. And so let's try a little bit. We'll keep it on. Let's keep it on safe. I think that's probably going to be the less audible change that we're going to hear. So, but let's do this again. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to draw it in here because I'll never get it exact. -6. We're going to watch really the attenuation. This is how much it's cutting off at the top. And what's cool is this thing also gives us a visual view of it too. Well, let's watch the attenuation really here first. We're barely going to get any attenuation. But without the limiting, it's an integrated approximately -27, -28. Now we've cranked it up 6 dB. So the average loudness is going to be much louder, but it's never going to peak. Let's see what we got and hear what we got while we watch this.
Okay. Browse our menu now at healthysaladkitchen.com. You can enjoy a game and eat healthy at Healthy Salad Kitchen. Eat with no regrets.
Yeah, so it didn't really even peak. I'm not even getting any reduction. But we've seen 27 to 23. It's a lot louder. But obviously, I'm not even, let's see if it shows it here. Yeah, I'm not even, there's a little bit of reduction. I could see a little bit of red right here where that last peak. Okay. So let's crank it. So let me go something silly. So let's just do -12. And we're going to see, an average loudness of -27.8 is what it is going in. And now let's see what we can get. What's the average loudness? It should be about 12 dBs hotter. Now we're going to start seeing some attenuation here on the meter. You're going to see this dip down at the highest levels.
Choose Healthy Salad Kitchen for a quick, healthy, delicious meal. Browse our menu now at healthysaladkitchen.com. You can enjoy a game and eat healthy at Healthy Salad Kitchen. Eat with no regrets.
So we're now at -17.9. It looks like -6. 6 dB was the highest amount of attenuation. If we look, we could see where that was. Yeah, you could see just these peaks. But listening to it, you really kind of don't hear any distortion. There's no way that we can get this type of volume, this type of loudness. I need to do this for you here. Let me do one thing real quick. I have exported this post limiter, and now that's what this file is. So you can see we're getting a nice cutoff here. Listen to those two, and then you can ask me the questions, and we'll talk about. You could hear the loudness difference, and then I want to talk about what I think is a good loudness level to shoot for. Go for it.
Okay.
Hey, football fans. Just because you're going to the game doesn't mean you have to eat food you'll regret. So let Healthy Salad Kitchen fuel you before or after the game.
Okay. Now listening to the other one in a second. Yeah, here we go.
Hey, football fans. Just because you're going to the game doesn't mean you have to eat food you'll regret. So let Healthy Salad Kitchen fuel you before or after the game. Tasty, healthy salads, delicious rice bowls, flavorful soups.
And all you did was just use that limiter?
That's all I did. But
it sounds like there's more. Like it's it sounds present. It sounds like there's a lot of texture to it. Now, here's the thing. I'm curious what that would sound like opposite of just normalizing it to -1.
Yes, actually, let me do that for you. Let me actually do it. So I'm gonna grab this.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the difference because then, like, in pay-to-play auditions, speed is king. Whatever the fastest way to do the best possible job, it's almost better to not be such a perfectionist and get it in faster. If this is dramatically better than -1, then I would definitely take this step. But if it's only like maybe slightly better where only I'm going to notice or somebody who's an audio engineer who's probably not listening to the auditions, every second counts in pay to play.
Well, here's the thing. If you're doing auditions and your speech isn't crazy, you apply my preset, you probably, once you make a limiter setting, you just use that instead of normalizing. There's no once you get it set.
And then it just does it. So you don't do it different for each thing. You generally just have that one setting and it'll do that, what you just did.
If you don't have a loudness standard request and you're just sending it to somebody and they didn't ask for anything, I would cap it at -1 like you've done, right? And like you would do with normalizing. And I would push it to get 2 to 3 dB of reduction. So that limiter is just taking 2 to 3 dB off. It will be perceived louder than just normalizing it at -1. But it's easy to do. That's one run through. You push play, you adjust the gain or threshold on the limiter just to see that you're getting 1 to 2 dB, and you're gold. And it's going to be louder than anybody that is normalizing to -1. Listen to the file that I just sent you. I'll play those while you're listening to it.
Hey, football fans. Just because you're going to the game doesn't mean you have to eat food you'll regret. Hey, football fans. Just because you're going to the game doesn't mean you have to eat food you'll regret.
Oh yeah, it's better with the limiter. Like the first, it's interesting. It's funny because people, like, when they're listening to your auditions, just for those of you watching that are voice actors, you have literally, I'd say 3 seconds tops to hook people in. So you want to spend most of your time at the beginning of the audition, but also the sound. And it's funny, like sound, like the performance matters more than anything. But the thing that caught me between those two, all things being equal, if those were two different people that were submitting them, and the one with the limited audio as opposed to just -1, I would just instantly, I'd be like, okay, that can do it right there. And I might not shortlist the other one or book the other one. Yeah. It's the same audition. It's the same audition. It's just one sounds significantly better because of what you just did. That's genius.
Yeah, one of the things I think that most people, they get in, it gets any artist, and voiceover actors, voiceover artists are creative artists, and we get in our head, we're like, the reason why I'm not booking, it's my sound, and we try to work so hard. And I get that, but I'm on the same page. It is about the read. It is about the emotion that you exude and that you translate. But man, you really do feel confident. I think that's, the emotion that you exude plus the confidence. If you know that your audio sounds awesome, that is a winning combination. I think that could push you to the top, right?
Of course, but it's not just that. Here's the thing. Like, once you get to a certain level, all things being equal, everybody can do what you do. So like when I'm competing, let's say on voices.com, I know that Jim Merkel is going to do like an amazing job. I know Rachel West is going to blow the doors off it. I know David and Michael Kaplan are going to crush as well. So if we're all crushing our performance, then what are they left with? Who sounds the best or who's right for the script as well, right? But I tell you, like, all things being equal, if one just instantly sounds better, more present, a little bit more, I don't know, something to it, a little more professional, I guess. It's just, it gives you an edge. You know what I mean? It's like when you watch like football players who like, they don't have to wear the grippy gloves, but they, why not? Why not, just get an edge, just a little edge.
I think what you just said is the game is won in the inches, Jesse, right? It's
it's the inches any given Sunday.
It's the small little things. And yeah, when you've got these and they add up, and that's just what is it? It's experience, it's doing it over, it's learning. And that's kind of what we do. I want to tell you this because I know if I know you, Jesse, I know you've got a ton of auditions that you're going to be working on here today. So I'll let you go.
Today because we had the baby appointment. So I've got like 50, 60 auditions ahead of me.
That's, you know what, baby comes first, but you got to do what you got to do. That's awesome. Congratulations, by the way. That's really cool. I want to just tell you I'd love to have now a mastering advanced conversation because there's actually a couple more things we can do to make this even better. And there's one of the things that this UltraMaximizer, the L4, this new plugin, it has a built-in upward compression. So it actually takes the lower, quieter parts and brings those up in addition to everything else. And I'll show you, and I think I want to show you that, and I want to show you the different modes when you really push this thing to make it super loud. And I'll give you an example. Why would you want to make it do we really want to make it that much louder? How about if you're making a demo and you are drawing somebody in with some really emotional, quiet something, and then you just want to go bam with a sound effect and just go pow, right? And make people jump out of their seat to really draw emotion when you're doing a story or a demo or a voiceover demo, with a bunch of different examples, maybe a movie trailer or something. That's the real power and how you can use audio to just give somebody goosebumps. I mean, that's what storytelling and kind of all is about. That's what separates the amateurs from the pros. So maybe we can do that next time. I love chatting with you, man. This is fun.
Yeah, man. Love chatting with you too. Just real quick, where do I get that plugin? How much is it? How do I find it?
No worries. This is the L4 by Waves. It's one of their newest plugins. It's the UltraMaximizer. It's a limiter, basically. And if you go to my website, lennyb.com, scroll down to the bottom, and I've got a bunch of links down there. Look for gear, and I talk about microphones and audio interfaces and DAW software and plugins that I like to use and suggest. And I've got the L4 in there. I can learn a little bit more about it, and you will be, I've got a link right to the website where you can purchase it and see the current price. So go to my website, lennyb.com. I've also got my mastering training course. I just want to remind you again, all the things, those nuggets that we learned in this video today. If you want to really learn how to use any limiter, you could learn how to read any meter to reach loudness standards and really have your audio outshine the competition or just sound better than anybody else's by sounding louder and retaining the quality. The Mastering for Voice Recordings training course is a game changer. But I've also got training courses on EQ and workflow and even marketing, and I've got free training courses as well. If you just want to see what I'm all about and just kind of get started and learn some of the basics, lennyb.com. And the last thing I want to tell you is my custom processing preset service. It's something that I do. It's what I've done for Jesse. That processed sound that you heard for Jesse was my custom setting. And I will create a free example, a free demo of what my custom process sound is like for your voice. Just send me a sample. It's real easy to get started. Go to my website, lennyb.com, and there's a red button you'll see at the top of the page. You click that, follow the instructions, and I'll get back to you with an example, a free demo of my custom processing on your voice.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I really appreciate the time and teaching me all this kind of stuff.
You got it, man. Now go kill those auditions with your new mastering trick.